Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness.
This is episode 171.
You are listening to Let's Be Well Together podcast. It's John Webster. I'm here with Elise Seifert.
Hey, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm continuing with my new experiential series. A little while ago, I asked you about, what it's like right now as a new mom. What's the social impact, the social wellness impact? The other thing I'm wondering about is, because I forget, it's been so long ago, but I'm curious, what are some of the little connections you have with a newborn? And Michael's almost 5 months old
now. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, what are some of the kind of connections you've felt over the last few months?
It's been so different than I expected it to be, I think. I'm not sure what I really expected it to be. I think I expected to have a newborn and to feel so connected to them, and they just feel so comforted by me all the time,
Yeah, and it's impossible. It's funny because just like you can't go back and really remember what it was like before Michael was here.
Yeah.
It's really impossible to go back and remember what you expected life to be.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of have this kind of vague sense of it.
Yeah. But I kind of imagined, if he's upset, if I just hold him and comfort him, he'll just feel better because we have this innate connection. And we definitely do have this innate connection that is really awesome to experience. But it wasn't always like that. I'd be trying to comfort him, and I'd be like, why isn't this working? I should be able to do this. I'm your mother. You were inside of me. You're a part of me. But
welcome to chaos.
Yeah.
And all the
chaos.
external and internal forces. There's things going on in his body and all this other stuff and nature.
Yeah.
And where you think you have control, you got no control over a lot of this stuff.
No, but now as we've kind of gone through it, I think after the first couple months, then I started to understand his needs a lot more.
Right.
And I think from what people say, each baby is very unique. So even if there was another baby, it would take a couple months to kind of figure out that baby. But I know now when I hear him whine or cry, I can usually say, it's this. Oh, it's this. Oh, he's gassy. He needs to burp. Or, he's hungry now. It's the time that we usually eat. So I think it's really cool to have those connections where he can't speak to me, but I kind of know, this is what he needs right now in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my favorite thing is if I hold him for a nap, or if he's sleeping and he wakes up and he sees me, he just smiles.
Right.
And there's nothing better than feeling you just are so happy to be here with me. And once he started smiling, I think it made things so much better because I could really see that connection that we had, because he'll just look at me and he just smiles, and it's so sweet.
I don't get it the same all the time, but the smile I really like is when he looks, and then not only does he smile, but he has this face I'm in the right place.
Yeah, I know you're here. And it's so funny. He always will look for me no matter where he is. He'll be in the living room, which is a place where we spend a lot of our time together. And he's like, okay, mom's here. I'm good. And then he continues to play. And then he looks, okay, she's still there. I'm good. And it just kind of feels nice to be that person for someone.
Right.
Yeah. And I didn't really know what to expect in terms of the love I would feel for Michael, because, they always talk about it's this profound love. And it's not like I love him more than anyone I've ever loved before. It's just there's this connection there that I've never experienced before. I feel so connected to him. Even when he's sleeping, I'll wake up at night and I'll be like, why am I awake right now? And then all of a sudden he wakes up. It's because we have this connection where I'm going through the same kind of cycles as he is. And I just didn't expect that in my sleep. It's really interesting to go through it. It's nothing I've ever experienced before, and it's really hard to articulate, but it's an incredible experience.
I'm one of these people that thinks I've accepted the fact that there's a lot of things I'll never understand about life and about physiology and people, but I have thoughts, and one of them, for example, is as we've evolved over time, I think there's a real physical component to that maybe we don't fully understand. Some scientists might be able to explain it, but there are these connections and there are these signals and there are these feelings. And I guess you just got to go with them. That's my preference. Just enjoy the moment, enjoy the experiences, go with them, and not kind of worry about why they're happening.
No. And I know something I love about having a baby is he makes me kind of live more in the moment because I see him appreciating really simple things.
Right.
He's there. He's like appreciating the leg of a table.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, I guess it is pretty cool.
He loves light fixtures.
Light fixtures. Every light fixture. He's like, wow, that is amazing. Or trees. He absolutely loves trees. And then you kind of look at him looking at those things and you go, yeah, this is really cool. So it kind of helps me to live in the moment more, which is really awesome.
He kind of forces you to too, because that's the only way to get through the day. Like,
yeah,
you can't be, you can't really be like, oh no, if I do this, then 3 hours from now, that'll happen. Or else you'll always be second guessing yourself. So you kind of just have to live through the moment. Like, what does he need now? And what can I do to best set up later? But I can't really think about everything all the time. So I got to live in the moment.
Which is really hard for me. I'm such a planner. And I know my job allows me to be planning and to know exactly, okay, this is exactly how long we have for math. And this is exactly how long we have for literacy. And I can be flexible about those things. But just having that kind of frame of mind helps me. And I've had to really let go of that. And that's been really hard.
Right. And you just remind me too, like, he really loves light fixtures. Somebody told me a bit of a funny story. I'll do a little segue. He goes to a certain church and there's a minister there. And a lot of times this happens in baptisms where the baby's crying and crying and crying. And they give the baby to the minister and he like puts him in his arm. And then he goes to do the baptism and the baby's just quiet.
Huh.
So everyone thought that this guy has some kind of baby talk magic. And so he asked the minister, like, how do you do it? Like, what's your secret? He goes, I don't actually have a secret. It's just that there's a light fixture right underneath where I stand. And every time I put a baby in my arm here, they look at the light fixture and they just love it. And they're like quiet. So I don't know, maybe it's a kind of a universal thing.
It must be, because someone else told me that they always took their baby to Home Depot and would walk through the light fixture aisle with their baby, and their baby would just be in awe of all of the light fixtures.
What in the world? I can't figure that out.
No, I think it's just they like to see what's above them, but it's really interesting. And I know something else that Michael has kind of, I don't want to say forced me to do, but something that he's helped me to make time for is trying to make time for myself. So I know in the previous episode, we talked about how it's hard because you kind of lose your autonomy when you have a baby. He's always with you at all those times that you just kind of take for granted, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. So I've really tried to force myself to make moments in the day for myself. So I try to make sure I get a workout in the morning when he's kind of at his happiest. He's had a long sleep. I know that he can play a little bit more independently at that time. And some days, my workout might be me working out for 10 minutes, and then having to like do something with him to keep him happy and then going back to it. And that's okay. That's how it goes some days. And some days I get my full 30 minutes in, and that's great. Or something else that I try to do is go for one walk a day where he naps outside. And I think that has really helped me.
Yeah, you're getting fresh air, you're getting a walk.
Oh, it's amazing. I get fresh air, sunshine, I get exercise. So I think he's kind of forced me to help take care of myself more, which is really nice.
And I'm curious about time. So you've been off for how long now?
So almost 5 months.
5 months.
Yeah.
Does it seem like it's going fast? Does it seem like it's going slow? Is some days it's one, some days it's another?
The beginning felt slow.
Right.
But right now it feels so fast.
I think it's just racing by. 2
months have gone so fast. People say the days are long, but the years are short. I find it's just all short. It's just like, because my day is in these small increments, you're like, oh, I've already gone through my 3 naps, or I've already gone through my 3 wake windows. The day's done. So I find it goes really fast. So I think that's also forcing me to try to live in the moment more, because I see how much he changes week to week, day to day even. And so you kind of want to just enjoy the things that you enjoy at this time.
I'm curious in part because some days I'll be working and working and working. And for some reason, I'll have a chance to take a day off, not for vacation, but just, there's something comes up, and maybe it's a long weekend, Friday or Monday, you get to take the time off. And as I lead up to it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to have a whole day to do nothing. It's going to be fantastic. And then I get the day off, and it's like, geez, I wish I'd gone to work. Like, it was gone, like go, 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 go. And the day's gone. It's like, oh my goodness, I didn't have even time to think. And now it's 5:00. If I'd been working, I'd be getting ready to go around now.
Yeah. So that's exactly how my days feel. There it is.
It's just
go,
like,
go, go, go. And you're like, what happened to my day?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. And I'm really lucky that Steven's job allows him to come home a little earlier than a typical job. He's usually
Mhm.
home between 3:30 and 4. Michael usually wakes up 8:30 to 3:30. You're like, wow, that goes so fast.
Right.
Where did my day go? It's really interesting, and maybe I'll not feel that way when we're going through a bit of a harder time, but right now we're doing really well and things seem to be moving really nicely.
Okay. Well, it's great to be able to chat with you while this is going on and try and get your experiences on the fly. And maybe we'll do another one of these later. Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds. Today's interview is in different categories of wellness. I'll say intellectual and mental, but there's probably more. And we welcome back, who's now a regular guest, Ryan A. Bush. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, John. Glad to be back.
Ryan Bush is a thinker, an author, and designer focused on building better systems, better people, and a better future. His background is in the design of systems, and he's worked with tech startups to design and develop everything from physical products to software to buildings and business models. He's had a lifelong interest in introspective investigation, ravenous reading, and obsessive self-optimization. And for many years, Ryan has studied the insights of ancient teachers, practical philosophers, and cognitive scientists, and he's written multiple books. So Ryan, I really enjoyed our conversations in the past. One thing we haven't talked about yet, though, is Mindform. We tend to talk about topics, either philosophy or psychology or wellness. Meanwhile, you have the Mindform platform that you developed and founded that I'm on, which I appreciate. I want to just talk a little bit about that so people know what it is. So maybe we can start kind of high level. What is Mindform? How does it work?
Yeah. So Mindform is, I call it a psychotecture collective and training platform, but it's essentially a community of people who are working together to grow and develop better mental habits, and a collection of tools and resources that sort of comes along with it to help you do that, and helping to overcome things like anxiety and depression and build greater resilience and well-being. So it's a community that started out digital and was strictly digital for a while. And then last year, we had our first ever in-person retreat, which was fantastic. We had about 20 members come out for a long weekend. And now we're planning a retreat in New Zealand for this next year. So really interesting. But it's developed to have a lot of components. There's an app and a companion app, and then there's programs, there's weekly events that we go to, there's a monthly reading and topic. So there's a lot going on. It's in some ways, it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet for introspective, philosophically inclined people who are interested in self-improvement and growth.
Actually, just before I get to my next question, you said psychotecture, and I know that's kind of a term you use. Help us understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, psychotecture is a term I coined in my first book. It's really just the process of designing your own mind, your psychological operating system, trying to design and optimize and change your mental patterns that sort of keep you locked into bad habits, negative emotions, cognitive biases, just really, putting a lens up to that and saying, how can I make a modification to that mind that would allow me to be healthier and happier.
And then when you got to the point of developing Mindform, the digital platform, what was your inspiration? What was your vision when you started that?
Yeah, I think I just saw something missing in our culture, right? You look at gym culture, for example, you look at, physical fitness, and you've got this space of people who are kind of obsessive, and they have this community centered around physical growth, physical health. And it's not just this negative thing. It's not just like, oh, you have an injury or an illness, you need to recover and heal. It's very much about going from fine to better and stronger and healthier, and saying, why is there not a mental equivalent, right? Why is there not a gym for your mind, a community for optimizing your mind, right? We basically have, psychotherapy, which is great for people who are really struggling with an illness, but it's not always necessary, and it's not really optimized for continual growth in general. And so I wanted to see that space exist. In some ways, I wanted it to be, like a gym. I wanted it to be like a software developers community where people are saying, hey, I'm stuck on this. What's the what's the code that I need to get past this challenge, and applying that same thing to the mind. So it's not a support group for people with mental illness necessarily, although there are quite a few who are working through anxiety or depression, but it's a little more exciting than that. It's all about positive growth, finding ways to break through challenges and become a happier, healthier person.
Yeah, a little part of what you talked about, something I've always been trying to articulate and figure out, because for me, intellectual wellness is one of my 8 categories that I like to explore. And I'd like to say it's not about IQ. You're not trying to develop a high IQ. You're trying to exercise your mind. And so I'm always trying to figure out what that means, exercising your mind. Obviously, there's games and there's, work you can do. You can read and you can do all that stuff. But I like that concept of finding ways to exercise your mind, kind of akin to other people finding ways to exercise through sports or exercise.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about members. Like, what do they say they're interested in? Why do they say they join and get out of it?
Yeah, so I have all of the data on that. We've got over 1,000 applications where I ask everyone their interests. The number one is reading, of course, but then we've got things like mindfulness and stoicism and Buddhism. And, we've got all these podcasts and thinkers who are writing about related ideas. But really, these are just highly reflective people who are really interested in the mind and how you improve it. And what's interesting is I went most of my life, kind of thinking these people didn't exist. Like I never met these people who had these same like philosophical fascinations that I did, psychological fascinations, and wanted to have like long form conversations about them. I just felt kind of alone in that. And I had to, connect with these dead philosophers through their books if I wanted to find that kind of connection. And it turns out many of these other people who have been interested in psychotecture long before they knew a word for it, have also gone their whole lives and not been able to have these kind of conversations that they really want to. And they find Mindform and they say, wow, we get to talk about this stuff every week, like all these crazy philosophical ideas and, geek out over psychological growth. And so, yeah, we got a lot of these sort of reflective people who don't really fit into clear boxes in terms of most demographics. We've got all ages, genders, everything, but it's sort of connected by this common thread of wanting to work together and connect in order to grow.
I really feel that part about not thinking there's other people out there, because I kind of had that connection too. It's almost as if, you have this little part of yourself buried in or me, I'll speak about me. It's like I had a little part of myself buried and had all these thoughts, but they never come out because I figure no one's interested or no one would really get it. And so, one thing I really like about talking to the people when I'm on is that they share these common traits that I've always had, but it's hard to find. So like usually when I am in conversations with people about these kind of topics, there's a lot of dogmatism. There's a lot of preset views. There's a lot of taking sides, so you're like, what side am I supposed to take? Do I really want to use the energy to try and argue the other side in this conversation? And what was lacking a lot of times are things like curiosity and active listening. And I really feel like I get that with the people there, like a lot of really curious people. Like you'll tell them something, they might not agree with it, but they want to hear about it. It's cool.
Yes, lots of curiosity. Now we've technically got a no politics rule on the platform. I think we get enough of that from everywhere else in our digital lives. So we avoid, getting into this side or that side debates. But, it's clear from the topics we have discussed on, society and discourse in general that, we've cultivated a high capacity for entertaining ideas that you don't accept, civil disagreement, right? And generally being open to multiple sides, not necessarily picking one binary ideology to identify with. So it's been a very positive thing.
Yeah, for me, I remember when I was studying philosophy at university all those years ago, I tended to be one of these people that really got into whoever I was reading, right? So I might be reading Kant one time and someone's like, man, you're too into that. Or, maybe I'm reading ancient Greek and I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. That's just the way I like to immerse myself in it and then come out of it and have more of the kind of the objective look at it and see where I ended up. Okay. So Tell me a little bit about too, though, about how do members interact? So what are the different options? What are the different events you might find on that?
Yeah, so we've got, for one thing, an upwelling event. We call it every Wednesday, which you've been to. I've really enjoyed seeing you there, John. And we've also got a Saturday call. And basically, these are Zoom calls where we just get together for an hour and we start out generally with a prompt, but then the conversation kind of takes over and we just allow it to flow wherever it wants to. Tends to become a really interesting conversation that is one of the highlights of my week for sure. That's probably the best single way to engage. But then we've also got a more typical sort of social media feed where people are posting ideas related to, whatever their psychological, philosophical interests are. And we've got comments and all that. And we've also got, these programs that, are cool because you sort of complete the exercises for each lesson in the comments. And so you got people saying, "Oh yeah, I've struggled with this too. Like, here's how I got through this." So it's a real sort of collective, collaborative learning experience when you're going through and trying to learn how to dismantle your anxiety or build greater resilience, whatever it is that program's working on. We've had programs that were created by members. Now we've got events that are run by members. So it's really cool to see how many people sort of take initiative and say, "I want to take this on." And of course, you've met Frank and talked with him on the Mindform podcast. That was started because Frank came to me and said, "I want to get more involved. I want to, contribute my strengths to Mindform more." And he ended up becoming a fantastic host of our podcast where we're interviewing members and having these great conversations with people who, for most of them, have never been on a podcast before, but they're just all fascinating people. So it's always a great conversation. So lots of ways to engage. And then, of course, the in-person retreats are probably the single highest quality form of connection you can find on Mindform.
There's lots of little nooks and crannies too in different places. There's a whole bunch of subcategories, kind of when you have on the screen, if you're interested in, say, Buddhism or Stoicism. I like Stoicism generally. I like hearing about it. It's not really kind of my thing overall in totality, but there's so many great points about the approaches and the reminders that they have. Another thing I like too, you have kind of a companion app, and I was working through it. One thing I really like is you have these prompt questions, and I really like those prompt questions. They often get me thinking about introspection. It's not really that critical that I answer it on the screen but even just, I usually do, but even just seeing those prompt questions, they're always good ones.
Yeah. So we've got the Mindform interface companion app, which is meant to add a little more, personal interactivity to the platform. And so you go into this app. Yeah, you've got these journal prompts, like you said, where you can fill these out for yourself or even share them to the other platform. We've got a logbook where you can sort of log your thoughts and moods and beliefs and go through and kind of identify distortions, go through a kind of, CBT, mental health process. And then we've also got these psychotechnologies that I release once every week. These are different psychological tools you can use in different situations to improve your emotional outcomes, right? Improve your thinking and reasoning and improve your habits and your behavior as well. So,
well, that there's a question we ask every guest, and also that we tend to only be able to scratch the surface in the time we have. But before I turn to that question, is there anything else you wanted to tell us about Mindform or go over?
I would just say in terms of logistics, it's a little bit different for a platform like this. We only open it up to people twice a year, the end of January and the end of July. And it's application only. If you want to apply, you can do so at mindform.io. And I go through all those applications and send a bunch of stuff out. We've got a great video on it as well on that website. So, but yeah, if you're interested, fill out an application and I'll talk to you in July or January.
Okay, well, you're getting to be an expert at the question we ask every guest. As you know, we explore different areas of wellness in a context where it's really hard to find time to keep all of them going at any given time. So we do our mini wellness check-in. So what about today, Ryan? Are you currently neglecting an area of wellness in your life? And if so, can you think of even one activity you could do to foster wellness in that area?
Yeah, so we've been reading this digital minimalism book in Mindform over this last month. And one of the chapters is about solitude and the need to spend time alone with yourself, just with your thoughts. And the way it puts it is without the input of any other minds. And so that means, listening to a podcast or an audiobook or even music doesn't count, right? Being around a friend doesn't count. You really need to just be alone with your thoughts sometimes. And I definitely have not been great about this lately. I think, in the past, I've made a huge habit of going on these long introspective walks. But with everything I've been so busy with, I haven't done nearly enough of it. And I haven't spent enough time alone just with myself. It's always, this question of like, what do I have to do right now? What do I need to spend this next 15 minutes on? And it's rarely, I can just go chill out by myself. So I really would like to get more solitude in my life, more just a better relationship with myself. Because I think these things need, continual maintenance, right? If you leave your thoughts alone for long enough, it's like leaving your house alone for too long. It's going to get overgrown and infested, and you have to go through and actually, do the work to keep it running well. And so I think that probably falls in the mental category, but just more solitude, I think.
I had this recent really cool experience where I ended up, it's winter here, so I often run on a treadmill in the gym, which is extremely boring if you do long runs like I do. So I'm always listening to music or audiobooks or something. And I ended up at the gym, I forgot my headphones. So the question is, do you go home? So this isn't even really what you're describing, which I think would be a little more isolated. But it turned out that because I had to all that time, about an hour with no music, no other inputs, my mind wandered here, my mind wandered there. And without even wanting to, I came up with a solution to a problem that I'd been working on for a long time. So I think there's probably a lot to what you're saying.
You give your mind some space and some silence, and it'll do things in the background that, are pretty impressive. So yeah, that's a huge one.
Well, Ryan, thanks very much. I know you're busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I really enjoyed our conversations.
Always a pleasure, John.
We're glad you're here, and we hope you're making wellness a priority. Hope you're getting something out of the podcast. And especially for people who are new, you might not know that the podcast was inspired by my book, Accidentally Well by John Webster. It's available on Amazon, Indigo, Barnes & Noble, pretty much anywhere where you can buy books online. And this is my pitch for you to buy a copy and have a read. I think it'll enhance the experience of the podcast, and it will also help us defray some costs because it's really expensive putting out a podcast. So grab a copy if you can. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of the show.
There's a thought. Popped up while running.
I'm still on a theme and I'm going to keep going with it. Last week, I did my strategic plan for well-being as the interview. And the last running pop-up talked about life in every breath. It's really exciting because I'm figuring things out in a really good way right now. And another thought that ties into all this came to me when I was running. And I think it really expresses what I want well. And that is that well-being is a byproduct of living an active life. It's not so much a goal. It's not something I focus or chase. It's what comes about when I just live my life. And by that, I mean literally doing activities in a balanced way. I saw that headline that I've mentioned it a couple times about chasing people who chase happiness. It actually works against their happiness. And also in the past, I've discussed how, in my view, happiness isn't the objective. A balanced life is. Happiness is one emotion amongst many. Sometimes the things that happen to me in my life should cause me to feel things other than happiness, and that's okay if I'm living a balanced life. I realize now I'm not really asking myself, am I well? How do I become well? No, I'm just living my life. I took the time to introspect and figure out my categories of wellness and figure out activities that foster it. And now I'm intentional about the kinds of things I do, the types of activities I do. And most of them foster wellness in one area or another. I'm intentional and I make time for those activities and I do them. And by the way, that includes rest and relaxation, which are really important. But when I'm doing them, I'm not sitting back and judging how they work or what the outcome is. I just do it. And then I do the next. And compartmentalizing is a big piece of it because when I'm working, I work. And when I'm running, I run. And when I'm cooking, I cook, etc. Another thing that works well is I try and do these things well. I'm curious and try and find ways to do them better. And on a really good day, I feel like I'm, as they say, in the zone. What a great feeling that is. I think all this is helping me get closer to understanding and feeling life in every breath. It's more about living and less about asking how it's working. Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way.
And it's sign-off time. It's Sheila here with John.
Hey, the regular crew.
Yes, here we are. 3 things I want to talk about today. 1, I've been trying to be productive. 2, I've been trying to eat a little healthier. And 3, I have been trying to do one social event. And for the past 3 weeks, I've been very successful.
You mean like you're trying to do like that every week?
Every week.
Cool.
Every week, I'm trying to do something really productive that I don't normally do. So 3 weeks ago, I cut all the tall grass. 2 weeks ago, I cleaned the whole house. And then this week, I just had one really productive day where I got everything that I wanted to get done. I just work. Socially, this week, I got to get together with some dancing friends, and that's been a while since we've got together. So that has been really nice. It's really nice. And you do have to kind of go out of your way to try and get together with these people that you've lost contact with. So that was so lovely. I really enjoyed that. And I've been trying not to eat after 8 o'clock this week, and that has been successful too. So woohoo, that is what's new with me and what I'm trying to work on. What about you, John?
That sounds awesome. And yeah, social, we had another social this week too, because it was our sister-in-law Pam's birthday.
Yeah.
So we had some fun, saw some people for that. I'm going to talk about physical stuff. I'm really getting back into the swing of things and I'm feeling really good. I'm starting to get to the point where I feel better.
That is great.
Last week, I extended all my runs. I did a 10K with intervals. I did a 10K with hills. I did a longer run on the weekend. And I rode my bike to work for the first time. I did that a couple times last week. That was fantastic. And I even just started working on the rowing machine on my days off. And the reason was, I'm so glad I interviewed David Amerland. And at one point he mentioned that he likes to do something physical every day. And while I always know that's true, like I run every couple days, not every day. While I know that's true, I decided I want to go back and try that again. Mm-hmm. And so on my off aerobic days, I'm going to try and do, it's only 15 minutes on a rowing machine, but it's something. Mm-hmm. And at first it was awkward. It didn't feel good. Mm-hmm. But now it's my 4th time this morning and it felt really good. And I'm just so excited because it's going to take a long time to get the really good feeling, but I'm at least starting to get the hint of the really good feeling. So it's great. So I'm really happy. And last week we got to spend a lot of time with our grandson, Michael. He came to visit for a few days. I got an advanced birthday present, which is a running stroller. I won't be able to run with him in it for a few more months. He's got to be a bit older, but we did take a walk. And also we just had so many good times. He's just at this great age. I love it when he kind of just talks, but for him, I don't know if you call it talking or singing. He basically is just
babbling kind of.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is very funny because he actually thinks like he's talking.
So I got to say, I'm kind of feeling great right now.
Excellent.
It was a good week.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.